We live in an age where doubt is glorified. To question everything is seen as a sign of wisdom. To be certain, especially about religion, is ridiculed as naive. But Islam flips the script. It teaches us that not all doubts are noble. Some doubts are dangerous. Some are destructive. And certainty is not arrogance. It is strength. The strength of the prophets, the foundation of true Iman. The calm at the center of the storm when everything else falls apart. Because doubt doesn't just confuse the intellect, it disrupts the heart. And when the heart is unsettled, it begins to sway from its purpose. To know, love, and worship the one who created it. Doubt left unchecked is like a crack in your foundation. A small fracture that over time threatens to collapse the entire building. And when the foundation is shaky, you can't build anything that lasts. Certainty, yaqeen, is the opposite. It's the firm ground beneath your feet, the deep roots that hold you upright when life pulls at you from every side. It's the steady flame that continues to shine even when the winds of confusion blow. In Islam, spiritual doubt is not treated as harmless. It's considered a disease of the heart. But like all diseases, it has a cure. And every heart that aches for clarity can be healed. The Qur'an reflects this reality. Two key terms for doubt, shak and raib, appear more than 50 times in the Qur'an. Not once are they praised. But yaqeen, certainty, and its various linguistic forms appears 28 times. And many times it is tied to faith, truth, and the qualities of the believers. Certainty isn't just a good thing. It is the light that pushes back the darkness. But yaqeen isn't binary. It is not on or off. It's not a switch. It's a spectrum, a journey, a growth in clarity. The Qur'an describes 3 degrees of certainty. Ilm al-yaqeen, certainty through knowledge. Ayn al-yaqeen, certainty through direct sight. Haqq al-yaqeen, certainty through inner lived experience. Ibn al-Qayyim gives a striking example. Someone tells you they have honey. You believe them. That's ilm al-yaqeen. Then you see for yourself they have honey. That's ayn al-yaqeen. Then you taste it. Sweet, undeniable. That's haqq al-yaqeen. This is what we're aiming for in this series. To move you from surface level belief to deeper conviction, to replace hesitation with clarity, to swap fragile roots for ones that run deep. We see this journey in the story of Prophet Ibrahim alayhi salam. My Lord, show me how you give life to the dead. And Allah said, do you not believe? And Ibrahim alayhi salam replied, yes, but to bring peace to my heart. Ibrahim alayhi salam wasn't doubting Allah's power. He was longing for a stronger conviction, a deeper stillness. As Badr ad-Din al-Aini said, Ibrahim alayhi salam wanted to rise from ilm al-yaqeen to ayn al-yaqeen. Ibn Hajar added, this wasn't weakness, it was the pursuit of stronger yaqeen. And the Prophet ﷺ said about that moment, we have more right to doubt than Ibrahim. This isn't criticism, it's consolation. If Ibrahim alayhi salam asked for reassurance, then so can we. But like him, we do not have doubts that are destructive. We don't stay in uncertainty, we grow beyond it. Because yaqeen is not passive. As Ibn al-Qayyim said, yaqeen is the spirit of the heart's actions and the heart is the spirit of the body's actions. In other words, without certainty, your heart won't move. And if your heart is still, your life is spiritually stagnant. Yaqeen gives you the courage to begin walking towards Allah. and the strength to keep walking when the path becomes steep. So no, doubt isn't always sinful, but if it's left to grow, if it becomes your lens, your comfort zone, your identity, it becomes a silent poison, especially when it targets the core of Islam, the belief in Allah, the belief in revelation, the belief in your ultimate purpose. And so, this series is about building certainty, yaqeen, not just to address doubts, but to outgrow them, with 10 effective strategies developed by Sapience Institute. They will help you move from the shadows of uncertainty into the light of conviction, to plant roots that run deep and build a foundation that will not shake when the storms come. Imagine two people standing in the ruins of the same personal crisis. Both have just lost their jobs, their stability has vanished, their future feels uncertain. One lifts his eyes and says, maybe this is the sign. Maybe this door closing is pointing me to something better. The other stares into the darkness and whispers, life is cruel. Nothing ever works out for me. Same pain, same event, but two completely different stories unfolding in their hearts. Why? Because of the lens they're looking through, their world view. It's not just the events of our lives that shape us, it's the meaning we assign to them. And that meaning flows from the framework through which we see the world. Your worldview is like the soil of your soul. It determines what can grow and what will rot. When the soil is rich, even hardship can produce gratitude. But when it's toxic, even blessings feel bitter. And many people today, including Muslims, struggle with doubts about Islam. Not because Islam lacks evidence, but because they're judging it through a cracked, inherited, and foreign lens. And when your lens is fractured, even light looks like shadow, even guidance seems like confusion. If we truly want to address doubt, we must go deeper than the questions. We must explore the soil those questions grow in. That's the power and the danger of worldviews. A worldview is not just a list of beliefs. It's the architecture behind your thoughts, the operating system behind your convictions, the window through which you see reality. It is the tinted glasses that give color to your world. It shapes how you process joy and pain, purpose and purposelessness, good and evil, success and failure, life and death, hope and despair. It whispers answers to life's biggest questions. Why am I here? What is worth living for? What does it mean to live well? What happens when I die? Even someone who says, I only follow science, is using a worldview. Because science can tell you how something works, but it cannot tell you why it matters. Science can measure a heartbeat, but it cannot feel the pain of our broken hearts. It can chart the chemistry of a tear, but not the depth of the sadness behind it. That isn't data, that's meaning. And meaning can't be extracted from a microscope. It comes from your worldview. So when someone says, I'm doubting Islam, the problem might not be with Islam at all. In actual fact, it isn't. It's usually the lens they're using to judge it. And if that lens is smudged by culture, cracked by trauma, or borrowed from ideologies foreign to Islam, then even the clearest truths can appear blurry. This is why, before we even start with specific doubts, we need to ask, what lens are you wearing? Where did it come from? Because if your heart is being nourished by a worldview built on confusion, it will inevitably grow confusion in return. But if your worldview is rooted in the light of revelation, then even your questions become a means to grow closer to truth. My body, my choice. Love is love. I can do whatever I want as long as it doesn't harm anyone. It's my life. Just do it. You only live once. We've all heard these slogans. They sound harmless. Some even sound inspiring. But they don't just carry words. They carry a worldview. And when that worldview stands beside Islam, it doesn't align, it collides. It's like trying to run two operating systems on the same device. At first, you don't notice, but over time, the screen flickers, the commands slow, and then it crashes. That's what happens to the heart when it's running on two conflicting ways of life. It breaks down, and when your internal software is corrupted, you start doubting the very foundation you stand on. You see a clever video, a viral post, a sarcastic tweet, and suddenly you feel uncertain. Not because the post was deep, but because your roots weren't. That's not a failure, that's a signal. It means it's time to rebuild, to stop running on borrowed assumptions, to wipe the lens, to align your heart to the light. Allah says, "To each is a direction to which he turns, so race to all that is good." This verse isn't just about Qibla. It's about the direction of your soul, the compass of your convictions, the Qibla of your worldview. Because if your heart is facing the wrong way, even your most sincere steps will take you further from the truth. Every worldview stands on core assumptions. Fundamental questions that shape how you interpret reality, how you understand yourself, and how to navigate your life. They're not just academic, they're existential. They shape the story you live by. Think of them like roots beneath a tree. You don't see them, but they decide everything. How tall you grow, how deeply you stand, whether you survive the storm. Let's explore 4 of these roots and how Islam brings clarity where others often bring confusion. Let's start with one of those slogans. Love is love. It sounds universal, right? But it's rooted in specific assumptions. Number 1, that we own our bodies absolutely. Number 2, that any love we feel is good and should be expressed however we want. Number 3, that our desires define us. Number 4, that all love is equal and no external guidance should restrict it. These assumptions exist because the worldview behind love is love sees the human being and the universe through a particular lens. And just as with all worldviews, that lens answers 4 major areas of inquiry. Let's briefly explore these areas. The first is ontology, which answers the question, what exists? Some worldviews say, only what you can see, touch, and measure is real. If it can't be scanned or weighed, it doesn't count. But Islam says there's more than meets the eye. The unseen is not imaginary, it's essential. The soul, angels, the afterlife, divine decree. As Allah says, they believe in the unseen. The worldview behind love is love rejects accountability beyond this life. So people feel free to act on desire without concern for eternal consequence. The second is epistemology. It attempts to answer the questions, how do we know? What are the sources of knowledge? What is truth? Some claim human reason and experience alone are enough to define love and morality. But Islam reminds us, Allah knows, we don't. We see a pixel, Allah sees the picture. Our minds are limited, our perspective is narrow. But Allah is Al-Alim, the knowing, Al-Hakim, the wise. What we think is love might be self-deception. What we call harmless may be spiritually catastrophic. So we submit to the one who knows not just what is, but what will be. The third is ethics. It tries to answer what is right and what is wrong. Modern moral frameworks often reduce good and evil to one thing. Does it hurt anyone? Does it increase happiness? But who defines harm? And what about long-term harm? What about the afterlife? Who defines well-being? How do we know what can truly achieve it? Islam teaches us that good and bad aren't determined by opinion or emotion. They're rooted in divine commands and prohibitions. Why? Because Allah is Al-Barr, the source of all goodness. He sees consequences we never could. And when Allah tells us to do something or avoid something, it's not a restriction, it's protection. The final area is anthropology. It tries to answer what is a human being. According to many secular views, we're just rearranged atoms, a biological accident, a fleeting glitch in a meaningless cosmos. Some even say you are your desires. But Islam says you are more than that. You are honored, you are dignified. As Allah says, we have certainly honored the children of Adam. Islam makes it clear. You have a qalb, a heart, the center of spiritual perception. You have an aql, a mind, the tool of reason, which is a function of the qalb. It's a function of the heart. You also have a fitrah, a pure, natural inclination to truth. But the thing is, the heart wavers. It does taqallub. It wavers. It's tested. And it can be clouded by shahawat, blameworthy desires, and shubuhat, destructive doubts. And it can also be diseased with kibr, arrogance, hasad, envy, ujub, self-amazement, and riyah, showing off. And when the heart is sick, no matter how much information you feed your intellect, even the clearest truth will not settle. So let's focus on the fitrah. The fitrah is like a car journeying towards the truth. It has an affinity for acknowledging Allah, goodness, and worshipping Allah alone. However, a fogged windscreen sends it off course. The Prophet ﷺ said, every child is born upon fitrah, but his parents make him into a Jew, Christian, or Magian. But the world, sins, society, and godless ideologies cloud it. That's why some doubts don't begin in the mind, they begin deep within. So the cure isn't always about more arguments. Sometimes it's polishing the mirror within, so it reflects the light again. Worldviews shape how we see. They can create clouds of confusion or clarity that cuts through the noise. And as we end this episode, I want you to ask yourself, what lens am I wearing? What assumptions shape how I view Islam? And then sincerely make this dua that Umar ibn al-Khattab radiallahu an used to say. O Allah, show us the truth as truth and help us follow it. Show us falsehood as falsehood and help us avoid it. Brothers and sisters and friends, let's walk this journey together.